I'd like to introduce you to Christian Lim. Christian is the co-managing director of SWEN, S-W-E-N, Blue Ocean, which is a venture capital firm investing in innovations that help regenerate ocean health and achieve SDG 14, as you may know, life below water. And as such, obviously, Christian will be talking about ocean investing. Christian, over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Ian. Just checking, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Perfect. So yeah, I think thanks a lot for inviting me. It's always a joy, and I think it's it's the third time I'm joining the Wall Street Green Summit. So thanks, Peter, for the opportunity again. I think my main message for this discussion is that ocean investing is a space that is pretty it's pretty recent, but is becoming mainstream, and even more than that is going through an acceleration. It's something that I've seen happening in the past 3 years, and I'd like to share that with you, and hopefully also the excitement that goes with it. So, as Ian was saying, our venture capital fund, Blue Ocean, invests in innovations, in startups that can help regenerate ocean health. And it's a fund with a target size of 120 million euros. Right now, we're at 95 million euros. We just launched it in September last year. And we launched this fund in partnership with IFREMER, which is France's Ocean Research Institute. We invest in Series A, mainly in Europe, but with some flexibility to invest globally. And we have a focus on startups that bring solutions to any of the three main threats to the ocean. So, namely solutions to overfishing first, second, solutions to the pollution of the ocean, including plastic pollution, and the solutions to climate change that are based on the ocean. So, including, for example, the decarbonization of shipping. Why is it so important? I mean, for us to invest in those opportunities to restore ocean health? Because the health of the ocean is deteriorating fast, and we need to address this. But also, because the ocean is providing food to us. It's also providing oxygen to us. More than half of the oxygen that we breathe is actually produced in the ocean by the life, the biology in the ocean. But quite importantly, it's also the ocean is actually the main engine of the climate on the planet, and this is why just as recently as 2 weeks ago, I was listening to Secretary John Kerry in Monaco, and he was saying and repeating, we cannot win the battle, the war against climate change without the power of the ocean. So quite simply, we really need a healthy ocean to be able to address climate change. And so to illustrate why this space is growing so fast, I'll start with my example, but then I'll talk about the ecosystem more generally. So, but when 3 years ago, I first had the opportunity to talk about what we were doing, this fund that we were creating with, and Peter invited us. In 3 years ago, we were starting from scratch and looking to raise a fund of maybe 40 million at some point was the target to invest in this space. And now we're working towards and quite on track towards a 120 million euro fund. So on our side, this really has been really quick. But in the meantime, we've seen also another fund appear in the US, which is it's called S2G Ocean, where really allies of us, and it's a $100 million fund. Now we're saying in the past year alone, I think I can think of 4 or 5 different funds that have appeared, some above 100 million with a focus on more mature ocean companies. Others are focused on seed investment, and even regional, more regional funds like focused on Southern Europe or others. So clearly, what was really a niche approach is becoming more mainstream, and I'll add some more elements to that a bit later. But before I do this, I'd like to give you very concrete examples of companies we have invested in, and that maybe explain, we think they're super exciting, that it maybe explains why there are so many investors now looking to invest in the space. One of them is Unseedlabs. It's a satellite company and nano satellites. So you have to imagine satellites the size of the backpack. They are, Unseedlabs is a French startup. They have developed a technology that is transferred from military, actually, technology that uses electromagnetic signals to geolocate what we call dark vessels. It's those ships on the ocean that engage in illegal fishing or illegal trade, slavery at sea, that does exist. And to do so, they just turn the positioning system off, what is called the AIS transponder. And up to Unseedlabs technology, they were able to do this completely, with impunity. And now Unseedlabs is shedding light on those activities. A second one, and so this is addressing, helping address overfishing and illegal fishing, which contributes to at least 20% of the fish that we eat. A second company we have invested in is called Next Protein. This is also a French company that has developed the technology to farm insects. And those insects are actually substitutes to fish meal to feed farmed fish. And farmed fish is actually, it's of course potentially a sustainable alternative to wild fisheries and therefore solution to overfishing. But farmed fish is also fed with fish meal, which is made from wild caught fish. So as we grow actually fish farming, we actually contributing through that to overfishing. And so Next Protein with insects are actually fed from organic food waste, helps address this issue and contribute to make fish farming a truly sustainable alternative to fishing. The third company we have invested is called Nora Seafood. It's a Spanish company that has developed a technology to farm shrimp on land. So it's a zero waste system, and it's shrimp is farmed in basins in a closed loop system, and on top of it, it doesn't require clearing mangroves to establish farming ponds and grow the shrimps, which is the case. It's just often the way that shrimp farming is done in Southeast Asia or Latin America. Nora is therefore a solution to the pollution of the ocean from shrimp farming, but also to mangrove clearing, which is the one of the main one of the largest carbon sinks of the ocean. So I could go on and on with examples, but maybe let's turn now to where the industry is going, where ocean investing is going. So on our side, we're working towards our next close in May. So hopefully we get closer to our target of 120 million then, and we'll be focused on making about 20 more investments to fully invest this fund, and then go on to raise another fund with us with hopefully even a larger scale. Regarding the ecosystem, I've mentioned quite a lot of more funds emerging in the space. What is even hard to believe is that I've seen recently an ocean fund of fund emerge, and it's something for that I was imagining maybe happening 4 or 5 years from now, but this is happening now. So again, a sign that things are accelerating. What are the signs we see that this is accelerating? And just 2-3 years ago in this space, you only had family offices. Some of those pioneers, who had patient capital, were and could be really forward thinking in their approach to investment and impact investment and investing to build the ecosystem. But this year, we actually received very serious institutional investment. So we've had investment from not only those family offices, forward-thinking family offices from the Nordics, like Ferd or Builders Vision in the US, but also pension funds, banks, insurance companies, and also even the BPI, which is the sovereign fund of France. So really, again, a sign that things are become mainstream. The strategy is becoming mainstream and again accelerating. So I hope this conveys to you the incredible dynamic around ocean investing, and I think it really reflects the incredible market opportunity and impact opportunity, systemic impact opportunity that we can achieve through investing in this space. And so thanks again for the opportunity to share that story. And yeah, really keen to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Christian. Yeah, I'd like to reiterate for the attendees, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A section or the chat section. I'd like to ask you a question, Christian. It seems that you're dealing, and I think that many other funds that are dealing with climate change, clean tech, all of these different issues, to a degree, they're social impact funds. So how do you choose between impact versus returns? I think that's reflective. There's a lot of talk about that within the framework of ESG and everything else as well. But how do you balance it? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, so our approach is that we don't compromise on any, and actually the two dimensions reinforce each other in our strategy. And so we make sure that we invest in solutions that really align impact and competitive market returns. So for our fund, we are aiming at top tier VC returns, above 20% IRR, and we do this by looking at solutions that address, on the one hand, critical ocean changes like overfishing or pollution or climate change, but also solutions that are transforming very large markets that are growing fast and are undergoing transformations driven by technology. So if I take, for example, the seafood industry, it's a $400 billion industry. Its biggest component, which is aquaculture, is growing at 7% per year. And it needs to address fundamental issues around pollution from aquaculture, unsustainable feeds, and we're investing. I talked about Nora, the shrimp farming on land, or Next Protein, this insect protein farm, insect farms. They're all addressing multi-billion-dollar markets. So really, there is so many opportunities to invest in companies that have perfect alignment between impact and profitability. And so the reason we're really focusing on this is because why not when you can align the two first, but also because there's an emergency, there's a climate emergency, there's an ocean crisis, and we need to address this at the systemic scale very rapidly. And the way to do this, in our perspective, and one of the powerful ways to do this, is to invest in those highly profitable solutions so that they can be fueled by private capital and scale very quickly. And so we have scaled solutions in 5 or 10 years and not in 20 years. And so that makes for incredible impact and market opportunity at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that explanation. I know that's a dynamic that's often being discussed about what is the trade-off between the two of them, and your approach, obviously, and your belief is that there doesn't have to be a trade-off. It can be win-win on both sides. So you mentioned that your fund is still open for investors, if I understood correctly. What types of investors have joined so far? What kind are you looking for? How do you see that working out?
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, we're fortunate that now we've been able to onboard a very diverse group of investors from, family offices across Europe and North America to institutional investors. And so, we also have We have also corporates that are looking to join the fund. So we now, I think, we've proven that this investment strategy can be attractive to this diversity of profiles and diversities of geographies as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I see that. There is reference also. What about seaweed harvesting as well for agriculture or energy purposes? Is that also a field that you're looking at? And here again, it's interesting because you're talking about kind of a cross-sectoral approach where you're using what you grow in the ocean, but for like generation of energy in this case.
Yeah. So I mean, seaweed is so interesting. So I'm glad someone asked the question. You may have noticed we're not structured around, our verticals, our three verticals, investment verticals, are not structured around sectors, industries, or a product or a technology per se. They're structured around solutions, and that's maybe what is a bit different from in the traditional approach. We invest in solutions to overfishing, solutions to climate change, solutions to ocean pollution, as opposed to investing, let's say, in seaweed. Of course, we may end up investing in seaweed, but that's not the objective. So the way we look at seaweed is that it can be a solution to a number of those three overarching issues I've mentioned. Seaweed can be a solution to for energy production, so as your so this person mentioned, but primarily we're looking at it for now as a solution for excess nutrient absorption in the ocean, so absorption of phosphate and nitrates from agriculture, actually, and that is creating huge dead zones in the oceans. And so, there's a business approach to that, which is, let's grow kelp, for example, absorb all those excess nutrients, which are, by the way, free fertilizers, and create biomass and a lot of products from this kelp that creates economic value, including potentially energy. Second, we're looking at kelp also as or seaweed as a way, for example, to produce biostimulants. So as a way to, again, address the issue of excess fertilizers leaking into the ocean and creating those dead zones. But, as an upstream solution where you actually substitute through biostimulants those fertilizers. And last, we're also quite interested in seaweed as a solution to climate change. You may have heard of Asparagopsis taxiformis. So it's actually this type of seaweed that added in very small percentages, 1 or 2% or 3% into the feeds of cows, actually dramatically reduces the emission of methane from the digestion of cows, which is one of the main sources of greenhouse gas emissions. So we're quite interested in some of the startups that are working to scale the production of Asparagopsis to address this issue, and at the same time, responding to huge demand from the meat industry to produce, clean meat, basically. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Christian. Interesting. Seaweed in the first two applications as a sink within a sink, and then the third one, obviously, to reduce the methane production in cows. Very interesting.